everybody. Uh, a warm welcome to all of you to this Tech Edge series, the second meeting of Tech Edge series. ICI and WIRC's endeavor is to, update all the members into technology because we believe that technology is going to drive the future in CA profession. Also, there will be only one competitor for chartered accountant, and that is technology. And we have done different initiative at WIRC. One of them is this Tech Edge series, wherein throughout the year we'll be having program relating to technology. When it comes to today's session, we have very able speaker Henik, who is himself a team of developer of tele solutions, and Henik has been expert and regular speaker on this topic of automation in ERP and kind of reports to be generated in Tally. If I have to compare Tally with Excel, I believe we have been using Tally. Excel, we say that we use Excel as a lot of people say that we use it as a typewriter, and we when we learn advanced Excel and each time we look at the advanced Excel, we come to know some or other new commands, new development which are happening. And more or less same thing is happening with the Tally. If I look at Tally, I just try and review the balance sheet P&L, and a lot of time when we attend some such session, I attended one session of Henik and I realized there are so many reports which otherwise I was not even aware of. So technology is like this. We need to be regularly in touch with the subject. We need to learn what is happening and we need to upgrade ourselves. There have been a lot of change, and in true sense, it's an ERP. However, we are just using it like a simple software, not using it as an ERP. So here is today's session wherein there's a new release which is coming in of Tele. I'm not sure whether it is released or it is about to be released. Henik will throw light upon that. But yes, we are few lucky persons to understand this at the early stage from Henik, having that access of what all developments are happening in the new release of Tele, and especially will be more focusing upon the immediate regulatory compliance, that is indirect as GST. So Henik will also focus more on GST. Of course, he'll take through us about the changes which are happening in the new release of Tele. Let me thank him at very short notice. He agreed for taking over. Henik, really thankful to you for sparing your valuable time and agreeing to take this session.
Yes, sir.
With your kind permission, we'll be hosting this program on WIRC ICI website, and we'll share your PPT. If it is there, we'll try and share that also with your permission on the website.
Sure.
With this, let me request my colleague in council, C. Rudesh Pankhania, to formally introduce our worthy speaker, Henik Shah. Over to you, Rudesh bhai.
Thank you so much, Ketan sir. Sir, before we do the introduction, can we have the motto?
Yeah, sorry, it skipped my
Sure.
mind. Backend team, please play a motto.
Yes, Mishra ji, please play the ICI motto.
Yaesha supteshu jagrati Yaesha supteshu jagrati Kamam 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 kamarsho Pursho nirvimanaha Tadeva shukram Tada Brahma Tadeva mritamucchate Tasmin lokaha shataha Sarve tadunatyadi kaschan Etadvaita
Thank you. Over to you, Rudesh.
Thank you so much, Ketan sir, for this amazing introduction and telling our members about the Tech Edge series as well. Thank you so much. So for our today's talk, we have CA Henik Shah. CA Henik Dilip Shah is an associate member with the ICI and in practice since 2019. at Henik, Dilip and Company Chartered Accountants. His core areas of practice include taxation, system implementation and automation, and other area of practice involve trust, legal companies, transaction advisory, and modern day bookkeeping. Other than above, he is one of those few of who have Tally's developer license. His team customizes Tally software as per the client's business requirements by coding in Tally definition language. CA Henik has been a speaker for professional seminars at study circles, Western region, and pan India levels on topics of GST, Tally, and corporate laws. He also writes articles, more than 30 of which have been published in various professional journals and newspapers. We're very happy to have you, CA Henik Shah, sir. Thank you so much for being there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Over
Thank
to
you,
you, sir.
Ritesh bhai. Yeah,
Thank you.
over to you, Henik.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ketan bhai. Thank you, Rudesh bhai. Okay, I'll just start my screen sharing. And go to the PPT from together. Is my screen visible? The PPT screen?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Before I begin, just a few appreciations. To begin with, appreciating CA Ketan Saya for this opportunity. Yes, it was just the last week that we had a conversation on phone where, to take this session on the decade series on Tally Prime, and we were like whether this should be taken, because considering this is a pre-release version, the beta release version. Okay. Also thanking Rudesh sir for the introduction. Actually, just going back to nostalgia. First orientation lecture that I had was of Rudesh sir at FinPlan Thane, almost roughly 9-10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, a long way
Henik,
we've come.
since you're just beginning, I think Chairman RPG Kabra has joined.
Oh,
RPG,
great.
If you're there, I'll request you to give your welcome address.
I'm just trying to connect. Am I audible and visible, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Audits to Safari. Good afternoon, everyone. What a pleasant moment to be amongst all of you. I think tech age is something which is very close to us, and it is really it's a wonderful feeling that while we are in the middle of a safari in South Africa, around 74 chartered accountants are here along the WRC team is here, and but something that is very close to each one of us, that is the technology. I think we've got a chance to even address that, and thanks to technology, we are in middle of a jungle, but suddenly somewhere these guys have arranged Wi-Fi, and therefore we are connected. So I think thank you, Ketan bhai, for setting this up. This TechEd series is something that is that's going to be very useful for every member. What I understand is, every now and then we would need a lot of automations, we would need a lot of technology creations that we usually have, and every moment, everything that we do, I think can be revolutionized with the use of technology. It's just that we have to always keep thinking about it. And today, I think, although this is a more on a GST thing, but, with Tally, I think this becomes much more smoother and easier. And Henik, I think, has really, has tried to help us with something which is a pre-release kind of thing. As I understand, it's yet to come to all of us. And I also have with me the Vice Chairman, Hitesh Pomal Saab from Ahmedabad, who's also with me.
Hitesh bhai, welcome to you also.
Thank you, Ketan bhai. How are you?
All well, sir. All well.
This is also there.
Yes, hello.
We are
So-
in a very chilled weather here at South Africa.
So we are on a TechEd series, and thank you. Let me quickly share small little initiatives that we are doing at WRC, which is technologically very. So one of the things that we are targeting is how can we automate offices of SMPs, small medium practitioners. Not only just merely using Excel or some softwares for filing returns, but doing something more. Let me tell you an example. The first TechEd series session that we had, we all were enabled to create a bot of our own with a simple Python coding. believe me, with a simple Python coding through Chat GPT. Also, I don't need to know Python. I just need to have a software. What I want, I can just write in that code in the Chat GPT. They'll give me a code, modify it, customize it, and I place it in Python. And believe me, the bot is ready. Whatever I want to do. So I wanted to, for example, for one of the sessions, we wanted to have everything automated. Speakers coming in, speaker slides coming in every now and then, no manual intervention, and the slides can automatically run on itself with the uh, every session that we start, we get a new slider and everything. So I think all of that was possible with a simple Chat GPT code. Now, looking at this GST scenario and looking at this tally pre-release and all of these functions, just imagine if you could prepare your own tally, if you could prepare your own something that could read your bank statements, something that could do your billings and accounting right. I think it's we are living in an absolute phenomenal world. And if I were to tell you what we all feel is, it's called a VUCA world, VUCA, and I think Rudesh would be able to explain that also better. Maybe later on, it's really uncertain and it's really exciting at the same time. So that's it, and I really want to congratulate Shweta Jain, madam, to spearhead this decade series. Of course, she's also with us among here only, but she's somewhere in the jungle. I couldn't find her. So I'm just on the call alone. But have a great time, guys. And feel free to reach out to us. We are actually on the lookout of people in our newsletters. If you find, we are actually looking out for speakers on various other topics, which is involving technology. If you are any one of them, or if you want to be one of them, or if you want to reach out to us, feel free to come back to us. Let us know. More than happy to give you a place where you could nourish and flourish, and see if anything that you want to create can really be a value add to many of us around. So thank you very much. Have a great learning session. And from all of us at South Africa, Momba Sham. That's thank you.
Thank you so much, the dynamic young chairman Arpit Bhai, and a lot of initiative being taken by under your able leadership, and TechEdge is one of them. So continuing with our talk, I'll request Henik to start his presentation. Over to you, Henik.
Sure. I take my presentation ahead with the beginning. Okay, so the topic is new features in Tally Prime Release 3.0 Beta. Beta is basically the pre-release version. I'll explain everything with time. Okay, but before that, whenever I begin any tech session, I always share this one thing. And that is, technology is something that certain parts of it everybody knows. Be it, as Ketan sir rightly said, on Excel, people know Excel, people use it as a typewriter. But if we start collaborating, some might be knowing some formulas, some might be knowing some other thing, some might be knowing something else. So as a team, the overall knowledge bank that we have, the experience that we can gain can go to a great extent. Even today, if somebody has got something to share, at the end of the session, maybe when we take the question answers, they can definitely put up as a question or as a comment. The individual knowledge put together can complete any puzzling task with ease. Speaking of puzzling tasks, Ketan sir correctly said that technology is a competitor to the CA profession. What happens is, many a times, or rather in general also in any business, we view competitors as enemies. And it is very correctly said, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. TechEdge series will help us keeping our enemies closer, giving us that edge that is needed to take things ahead. Okay. Well, we begin with, as a pre-release version, just before I begin Tally, just to give you the software side of things, software terminologies. We CAs are very good with legal terminologies. Let's understand the other side of the spectrum. So basically, all these pre-alpha, alpha, beta, gamma, and then the gold, these are basically software terminologies which are used to represent the stage at which a software, the development of any software has reached. So pre-alpha means, in Tally's context, if I tell you, pre-alpha means the stage wherein only the employees of Tally know what is going on with the software. Okay. Then we have the alpha version wherein the Tally partners and the Tally developers to say predominantly the partners, they are given the setup files so that they can test it on their end. Beta, if I am to say, beta as such is available for the public at large. You can download, however, it is not downloadable through regular channels. Okay. Gamma, delta, I really wonder Tally uses this terminology or not. Whether they will be coming up with another version of it or just directly the released version, which in software language is called gold. This is a coincidence because in Tally we have got the silver version and the gold version. This is just a coincidence. Okay. So just to summarize whatever I said, alpha, from the testing perspective, the testers are given. Beta, somewhat end users are given, a group of real end users. Okay. And then the gamma, if Tally uses that version, so great, or else it will be directly out to the public at large. Okay. Just for an insight, if I so to say, in the alpha release, which was given to the Tally partners and to the developers that we received, in the alpha release, reconciliation in form 2B, like 2B reconciliation with purchases, that wasn't available. So when they were giving it to the developers and the partners, it was only GSTR 1 and GSTR 2A. It was not GSTR 2B. So again, they have improved quite a lot from the one that was given earlier, and now that the beta release has come up. It would be interesting to see that in the release version, they come up with some more features. They stabilize the version, or they just release it as it is. Let's see how it goes ahead. Okay. Now, just, since this session is being recorded, I'll go to the Tally's website to enable everybody how to download this pre-release version, Tally Prime Release 3.0 Beta. If you see, I suppose everybody can see the Chrome screen, right? If you see, there is this ribbon which is going on, download Tally Prime Release 3 for an earlier experience. Beta is available for early experiencing. We click on this. Okay. Early access to experience Tally Prime, and we click on download this Tally Prime Release 3.0 Beta. The edit log also can be downloaded. Just for simplicity purposes, we are downloading the regular beta version. The setup file gets downloaded in your downloads. Okay, so basically what happens is it is taking some time to download, nevertheless. Okay, fine. So now what we do is we just show it in the folder. Okay. As well. Fine. So over here, what we do is Mohit bhai, am I audible and visible? Is the screen?
Yes. We can hear you and we can see your screen. Yes.
Okay. So we do a run as administrator. And then what happens is a dialog box sort of opens up, whether you want to install new or do you want to rewrite over some other thing. Since before the session, I had already downloaded and kept Tally Prime Release 3. That is why it is showing over here in the yellow highlight. In other cases, what you have to do is just select install new and let Tally take the procedure ahead. It will automatically create a new folder wherein all the setup files and everything will be installed. Okay. The reason why I say install new is that there is a possibility that you might in your system already an existing version of Tally, maybe Tally Prime 2.1 or some other Tally Prime or Tally ERP might be running. So that is why it is always recommended to do an install new. Since in my case, it is already installed, we'll take it ahead from there. Okay, quit setup manager. Yes. Just before I begin, okay, there is a possibility that some might get such a screen. Do you want to allow this app to make changes in your device? In case if such a screen comes, please click on yes. Okay, because we would be installing a new software, that is a .exe file, and hence such a screen may come up. In such a case, you have to select a yes and let the tally take things ahead. Okay. Fine. Now we begin with our system tally prime release 3 gold version. Okay, so in my case, the reason why it is showing gold over here is because I have got an updated license in one of the network PCs. That is why I'm getting a gold version over here. You can very well run many of your reports in the education version as well. In case if you want to run the full version, it is always recommended to use a network PC and not the server PC. Okay, let's begin. Okay, so basically what we would be covering is we would be covering the GST reports. We would be covering the GST setup. Okay, so these people you can say. So we will be covering that as well, since this is a pre-release. Okay. So what happens over here is, this is the company. This user interface for all those people who have already used Tally Prime, by and large, the user interface is the same. For these buttons, you might not be getting because I have customized these buttons for my own purpose. Basically, this was meant for tax audit 3CD purposes. Nevertheless, okay, this date and company will exist in all versions. What we do is we click on company, then we click on features. This JI, we are working on JI right now. Okay. This is something which, again, you must have seen in 2.1 as well, or Tally, any other release of Tally Prime as well. Enable goods and service tax. Yes. See, over here, things start to change a bit. Regular composition or regular SEZ. Okay. Registration status active, and we start seeing minor changes which were not existing in earlier versions. Okay. Create another GST registration for the company. This is what I said, that they are trying to enable multi-GST in one Tally company. So if the dealer is registered, if the supplier is registered, say for example, in the state of Maharashtra as well as in the state of Gujarat and or Rajasthan or any other state, so we can ensure that the details are filled so that multiple GSTINs can be covered. Okay. Regular SSC of other territory, no. This is GSTIN, monthly invoicing applicable, no. Okay. Primary and reconciliation configuration. See, Tally Prime release 3.0 is trying to enable reconciliation of purchases with 2B. It is also trying to enable purchases with 2A, and the GSTR1, which is prepared in Tally considering the sales details, reconciling it with the GSTR1 which has been filed with the portal. Okay. So reconciliation configuration. Okay, since this is a configuration, so obviously we'll check the configurations first, how to take it ahead. See, in the configuration, what do we get? Show registration name, place of supply. Okay, use voucher number and date as supplier invoice number and date for reconciliation. Ideally speaking, in whatever I have tested, this should be kept a no. Okay, because voucher number can begin from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, the supplier's invoice number definitely is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Ignore 0. So ignore 0 and ignore special characters. Now, what are special characters? Your slash, your minus signs, your hyphens, your all those things are special characters. Okay, now remember one thing. Whenever we will reconcile, this thing will come up. But see, understand, it is showing us to ignore only 0 and special characters. What happens is whenever accounting is done, people tend to ignore the prefixes and suffixes as well. They just mention the invoice number. However, in the configurations, it is not showing us any such thing wherein we can ignore the prefix and the suffix while we do our reconciliation. Keep that in mind. When we'll see the reconciliations, this thing will come up. Provide bond LUT details. No. More details. See, earlier we saw configuration. Now we'll just see more details. There's a reason for it. What happens is after we have after we have done the reconciliation configuration in the configuration F12, F12 was over here. Okay, even in more details, we need to check whether the same thing has been updated or not. Okay. Use voucher number and date as supplier invoice number and date. It is a yes over here. Ideally speaking, this should have been a no. If you remember the configurations, there it was a no, but over here it is a yes for some reason. So we'll do a no. Okay, ignore 0, that's okay, and ignore special characters. Okay. Now what happens is this is the new effective date. What I have done is I have just clicked enter, enter, enter. I have not done anything else. Okay. Date of last entry, the current date of the company or any other date we want to put up, we can put. Okay, I'll just put the date of last entry over here. Now we again go back to more details, show more and reconciliation configuration history. See, over here, this thing comes up. This, if you remember, this is some sort of a similar screen which comes up when we do the rate defining in any particular HSN or inventory item. So say, for example, from 1st July, the rate was, say, for example, 18%. After maybe 1st of April 2023, they changed the rate from 18% to say 12% or something. Even then, such a rate history comes up, even there. Okay, this is somewhat on similar lines. But then obviously, since this is a pre-release, not everything is appropriate. There are issues. There are, if in layman terms, if I am to say bugs, maybe, Tally people won't call it bugs, but in layman terms, okay. Obviously, no, because we don't want this voucher number and date as supplier invoice number and date. Okay. Fine. We do a control A and we click on save. Okay, set alter company GST rate and other details. This is just for demonstration. I'll show you. Over here, what we do is we keep a not defined for a simple reason that, we want to define it at an inventory level, at a sales and a service level. We don't want to define the rates at a company level because every service, the goods and the services or the goods or the services, as the case may be, can have a different tax rate. Okay. So we do a not defined over here. E-way bill details, we have kept it 50,000. It can be 1 lakh, depending on the notifications, to maybe tomorrow the government be like, we can keep another threshold of e-way bill. Okay, this was just for demonstration purposes. Okay. And some other things also, if time permits, we will cover, for example, this QR code thing, or for example, this multi-addresses thing, if time permits, we will cover. This is beyond the scope of GST. So yes, we come to now the reconciliation part. Okay. So basically, even for GSTR1 in earlier versions of Tally, how we used to go? Display GST reports, and then we used to do a GSTR1 or a GSTR3 if we are to generate GSTR1 from Tally. Over here, we can see that there are other, reports which are enabled. GSTR1 reconciliation, 2A reconciliation, 2B, and Challan. GST utilities also exist, but this is something which anyways existed in the earlier versions of Tally. Other reports, if we are to say reverse charge supplies, in case if somebody, enters reverse charge entries, the way Tally wants it to enter, it is a headache of a task, honestly. Personally, in my office, we have recommended our clients not to go the reverse charge supplies the way it is kind of prescribed in Tally. Okay. Now we come to 2B reconciliation. Just a minute. Okay, display more reports, GST reports, 2B reconciliation. Okay. Now the month over here is September 2022. And we see that the 7 transactions are reconciled and some unreconciled, some only in books, only in portal, mismatch in return period. Now, how do we get this report? Okay. If I can just coordinators or anybody, how do I get this Zoom taskbar sort of thing below if there's some way out? Got it. Okay. So over here, we see this option of import. And in imports, we go to GST returns. And in the GST returns, okay, firstly, we select the state, which is in this case, there's only Maharashtra. Okay. We obviously are going to reconcile GSTR2B. So return type is GSTR2B. File path, whatever is the file path. In my case, the file path is this. GST repos, and over here I've kept all the JSONs, for the return one, R1, that is your sales return, R2A, that is your GSTR2A, and GSTR2B. I've kept it for 3 months over here, which I'll show everybody later. So we just select this path and paste it over here. Okay. And automatically it starts showing the returns, and that too, if you look closely, this is R2B. So it is only showing in the drop down the GSTR2B return JSONs. Okay, there is one thing, it should ideally show only the September month's JSON, because the period selected over here is September. However, it is showing all the three months that have been downloaded. Nevertheless, we select the month of September and take it ahead. Since in my case, I had already got this September month, I won't be selecting it. But whenever you practice in your this thing, you can do it. Okay. So the moment you import, what happens is automatically, if there are certain transactions wherein everything is perfect, it shows reconciled. Okay. Just to give you a brief. So say, for example, all these transactions, they were reconciled automatically the moment this thing was imported. Okay. Now there are unreconciled transactions, obviously available only in books, available only in portal. Just, I'll go back to the reconciled transactions. Okay. See, there's one IGST and 5 CGST, SGST transactions. Okay. And one was the debit note, credit note. Now, this is the total unreconciled transactions, whatever we have. Okay. Now, see, in the blue ones, whatever the font color is blue, that is, this data is coming in from your GSTR2B. Okay. And whatever is the black font, that is the purchases which have been recorded in that month. Okay. Now, if you see, wait a second, I'll just configure the document number as well. Okay, now focus only on the 2 IGST transactions over here. Because obviously the data is big, and considering the time that we have, that is only of 2 hours. Just focus on the IGST transactions. Over here, you see the entire invoice number is correct. The amounts are also correct. It is just that the INA, the prefix INA, which was mentioned by the supplier in their, GSTR1, which we can see via GSTR2B. Over here, this thing is not mentioned. That is the only difference. Else, there is no difference. The amounts are matching and everything else is proper. Even the date and the name of the party is proper. So what we do is we just select these both transactions. For selection, we do a space bar the way we normally do. Okay. And we see a set GST status over here. We click on this thing. Where did we click? Just a minute. We clicked on set GST status over here. And we click on reconciled. Why? Because there is no mismatch as such. This is reconciled. So now it is updating. Okay. But there is an issue over here. See, even after reconciling, okay, the one with the black font, that is the one which was in the books, that transaction is now not visible on this screen. However, the one which is in blue, that is the transaction which it got from GSTR2B. That transaction is still visible over here. So what this thing has done is, it it has made the, ideally speaking, the books as well as the to be, both transactions should come under the reconciled this thing status, but only the books transaction has come under the reconciled status, whereas the to be transaction, which is this transaction with the INA, that is still showing in the unreconciled status. Now, this is an issue. Okay. Sorry. Reconciled, unreconciled. See, in the reconciled, we got 8. Earlier, it was 7. If you see, earlier, as I had said, focus on the IGST. Earlier, there was only one entry in the IGST. Now, there are 2 entries in the IGST. Why? Because the other one, we just did it now. Okay, this one, we just did it now. Okay. So if you go by this way, this is the reconciled, this is the unreconciled. We click on enter and we get that report that we were just seeing right now. Okay. Now we go a step below, that is available only in books. So now these are those entries which according to tally are available only in books. Escape. And these are those entries which according to tally are available only in the available only on portal, that is available only in the to be. If you look over here, this entry is actually reconciled. We just reconciled it, yet it is showing in the unreconciled ones available only on the portal. This is an issue. Okay. However, we are looking at the positive side of it as well. Not everything is an issue, obviously. We go again back to available only in books and we configure. Now here there's a very beautiful feature, I should say, that Tally has provided, and that is show potential matches between the books and the portal. So what this thing does, see, what this thing does is it basically ignores the document number. Over here there's no document number, and it just tries to match the amount, whether the amount is matching or not. See, remember, in the black color font, it is the transaction is in the books, and the blue color font is from what we have got from the to be. Okay. Now, available only in books, Jimis Ceramics, that basically means that in to be, there is no nearby, alternative. Over here, if you see, the date is 29th. In the books, the date which has been recorded is 29th. In the to be, the date which has been recorded is the 28th. Yet, Tally is trying to show that these are potential matches. See, over here it is written potential match on the first this thing. Potential matches excluding document number. So they basically try to ignore the document number and see. However, what they have considered is the taxable amounts and everything. We are yet to see whether there is if there is a difference in taxable amounts. What does Tally do? Okay. Let's take, for example, this entry. Over here, there is a difference of date. However, what we have done is, see, understand. The date is 29. The record date is 29. However, the invoice date is 28. That is something that we have mentioned it correctly. Say, for example, if we just, tweak the amounts by maybe a rupee or so, 4225.98, we just make it 4225. Okay. And keeping everything else the same, let's see what happens. Except yes. Okay. Once again, we go to available only in books. Configure potential mismatches. We do a yes and control A. See, then it doesn't catch. So when the taxable amount differed by even a few paise, the magic feature of Tally couldn't catch the potential match. Okay, so basically it will catch only of those invoices wherein the amounts, the taxable and the GST amounts are matching. Like what do you say? Amount to amount, paise to paise. Even if the date there is a mismatch, it would be okay, provided that the supplier invoice date, this should match with the GSTR 2B. This was something that I wanted to share. So obviously they are going in the right direction. They have put up some good features and they are trying to minimize the the issues or the bugs, if I'm so to say. Okay, now we'll just there seems to be some question how to remove that leftover entry from unreconciled entries. Okay, So basically, even if you want to remove any entry, if so to say, okay, you have to go to the set GST status system inferred. Okay, instead of system inferred, we click on escape and you have to select any one of all these statuses, be it excluded, be it mismatched, or be it reconciled. Available only on portal. Over here, as of now, now understand, over here, as of now, they are not giving us that option to take it to reconcile or to exclude it or to keep it as mismatch. I hope when they release the actual version, they give us these they give us this option of reconciling. Let's take it ahead. Mismatch in the return period. Let's just see what this thing is all about. Okay. Now over here, when I click on enter, it is not even allowing me to, take it ahead. So obviously, as I said earlier, there are certain issues, certain things are going good, certain things are not so going good. What we can do is, in this case, we can obviously go to the voucher on the 3rd of September and, see what the real issue is. Just let me see. On the 3rd of September, right? Sorry. Okay, now over here it is not even visible. So apparently what must have happened is that this invoice must have been in some other period, which it is showing in the 3rd of September. Why? Because the counterparty, that is Milagro, must have uploaded it in the 3rd of September. Okay, now we take some other months. Say, for example, we take the month of August. Now, again, the same story. There would be some unreconciled transactions. There would be some transactions available only in books, some transactions only available in the portal. What I am concerned over here is the mismatch in period. Let's see what it shows over here. Okay, so now basically what it is showing over here, understand. Once again, see, understand. There would be some transactions of the month of July recorded in July, and the counterparty has also shown the date to be in July. However, it is coming in the to be of the month of August. That is why when we open the month of August over here, this is what the status is coming over here. Okay. This is also something which I hope they improve with the passage of time. Once again, we can select all and set the status to reconcile. And this is gone. And over here, available only on portal. As I said you earlier, that what is happening is that, when we put the status as reconciled, the status of the transaction in the books goes to the reconciled. However, the status of the transaction of the to be still stays as unreconciled. This is an issue. Okay, now we take the month of July. There's a reason why we are going from September to August to July, because understand, when you would be filing, obviously you would be having the GSTR to be of July 1st and then August and then September. However, from session perspective, what we want to know is how the end product would look like. That is why we are taking it from September to ahead. Okay, July to 2. And we do July 2. Okay, unreconciled, available only in books. Here it is not showing available only on portal. Why? Because we have not yet imported the GSTR 2B. So for the session, let's import one GSTR 2B. How do we import? We click on import. We click on GST returns, obviously Maharashtra registration 2B. We go to our folder. Okay. And the July one, this is the 7th, that is the July one. We click on this thing, accept, yes. Press any key to continue, enter. Okay, it automatically reconciled 9 transactions. That's good. There is some mismatch transaction. Let's see what it is. Okay, once again, as I explained, when everything is the same, yet there would be some issues. So what we do is, we select and we click on the GST status to make it reconcile. And then, only in books, only on portal. Let's go to only in books and use the magic feature which the GST, the tallies GSTR configuration has. Show potential matches. Yes. Control V. See, majority of the invoices have got a potential match. Although there are invoices which don't have a potential match, that is something which obviously then, we can drill it down and see what are the real issues. Is there some mismatch in amounts, or is there some mismatch in dates, or whatever it is? Okay, fine. This is how the broad idea of, the GSTR 2B looks like. Seems there's some other question. Let me take it in. Can 2B data once imported into Tally be deleted? I haven't found any direct this thing wherein, we can simply delete it. Okay, hopefully in the release they come up with something wherein we can delete it, because understand, not in 2B but in 2A this is a very important feature to delete it, or maybe update the 2A at a later date. Okay. Now talking of 2A, we'll come to GSTR 2A reconciliation. Now, the reason why I'm showing GSTR 2A reconciliation is because, see, in GSTR 2B reconciliation for the month of September, if you remember, the reconciled transactions was showing at 8. Over here, the reconciled transactions is showing at 1. Obviously, I have imported the GSTR 2A beforehand only. So, one thing that we need to understand over here is that even when in 2B the transaction is reconciled, in 2A, not necessary that it will automatically update the status. This is an issue. I hope, with the release, they come up with something. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, once again, we try and use the magic feature. Yes. Okay, let's see if from over here we can set it to, just a minute. Okay, since, see, over here, we're not even getting the GST status. Update GST status. See over here, not even getting in the this thing in the 2B reconciliation, we were very well getting this thing over here. Let's see, counterparty has, if the counterparty has filed the return. Let's do a yes over here. Get something. No, still we don't get the option to match. Okay. We take it ahead. Same mismatch period, again the same old story. Now what we do is we go to the GSTR1 reconciliation. Fair enough. There is a possibility of one state getting imported and other state, and we were not able to delete. Yes. There is a fair possibility of such things happening, simply because, it is a pre-release. Hopefully with the actual release, they come up with something good. Nevertheless. Over here, again, I have kept the GSTR1 imported earlier only. Let's see. So even in GSTR1, it is showing unreconciled, reconciled. So now what is the real issue? Let's understand. Okay, available only in books. These are the entries. Have a look at the total. Okay, so available only in books. Have a look at the total. Available only on portal. Have a look at the total. If you realize the totals are the same, then what is the real issue? Let's see. Configure potential matches. Okay, if you see what has happened is the voucher number in the books is only 140, whereas the voucher number which has gone into the returns is 140/2223. This is because in the GST law, it has been very well, clearly mentioned that the invoice number should be unique. In fact, not just invoice, any document that has been issued, be it an invoice, be it a credit note or a debit note, it should have a unique invoice number. That is why this is showing as unreconciled. So what must have happened is their consultant must have added this /2223 while filing the GSTR1. Okay. Once again, all these are actually reconciled. So even if we do a control enter and let's try if we can do a reconcile of these things. Yes. So this thing is achievable. Yet. Over here, if we can do that thing, no, this doesn't give an option to set the statuses of GSTR1. So same like 2B, same like 2A. Even over here, it doesn't give that. I hope with the time they do these things. Okay, now let's get to some other interesting thing, that is track GST return activities. So basically, all those things, all those returns which get exported from Tally, the GSTR ones which are exported from Tally, I'll show in some time how to export the GSTR one. They all are, the details of which are coming over here. Corrections needed, yes. Obviously, in majority of the cases, corrections needed would be yes. In this case, correction needed is a no. Why? Because we have already tried to, reconcile and do all the work. Just hold on a minute. Yes, we have tried to do all the work. Therefore, it is showing a no over here. Pending for export, no. Pending for export, yes. So basically, while I was testing, I had exported August month's GSTR1. That is why it is showing a no over here. In this case, it is showing a yes because I hadn't exported GSTR1 of the month of September. Okay, pending to be signed. Now, what is this pending to be signed? Let's come to this thing. So we come to GSTR1. Say, for example, we take the GSTR1 of the month of August because I had worked something in the month of August, hence taking in the month of August. What I had worked, if you remember, I had said you that I had exported GSTR1 from Tally of the month of August. Okay. So over here, everything is appropriate, included in return are 19 entries. Since they're included, no action is required. Not relevant for this return. Obviously, the purchase entries, the journals, the indirect expenses and everything, they're not really relevant for this thing. Now, what is meant by signed and not signed? So basically, Tally provides this feature wherein if you export the GSTR1 and if you want to sort of finalize this file, that this is what the final GSTR1 is, what you can do is you can mark it as signed. In this case, it will give you two options, whether you want to mark the current and previous all returns as signed, or do you want to mark only the current return as signed. In my case, it is showing the previous returns. Why? Because in case of the previous returns, I have not marked them as signed. If you use this as a practice in your office, then obviously month on month, every month, the return would be marked as signed. Now, why is this important? Okay, what happens is for two reasons. What happens is that firstly, we want to finalize that part of it. Does finalization mean that, in future transactions in that month cannot be recorded? The answer is it depends. It depends on what? So it depends on the fact that what kind of user rights have you given to the particular user, or whether you have defined any user or not. Okay, once again, I'll repeat, marking this thing as signed, does that mean that we cannot record transactions in that particular month afterwards? The answer is it depends. It depends on what? It depends on the user rights. If there are users created, if any. Obviously, if there are no users created, then backdated entries can be passed. And in case if backdated entries are passed, there is a possibility of it being a B2BA, that is a business to business amendment, B2B invoices amendment. See, Tally Prime, even this release, there is no direct, B2BA, which is coming up. There's no direct this thing. However, there are ways in which we can determine whether a transaction has been added later on or whether a transaction is a B2B. We can just get a brief idea of it. How? I will show it to you. Okay, for to begin with, we just mark the current transaction as signed, marking the return as signed. Now that this return is marked as signed, just in case if anybody has a doubt, you want to undo signing, you can very well undo the signing. Okay, as of now, since this thing is open, marking it as signed and undoing it is very well possible. However, when we start giving user rights, obviously we simply don't give the right of this report. So the question of undoing the marking of signing does not arise. Now this thing has been marked as signed. So this return is anyways finalized. Before I go to what will happen if we record a transaction, okay, in the month of August, let me just give you this annual computation as well. When initially this release was announced and everything, I was pretty much excited because I was thinking that even the annual return could be exported if there could have been such a possibility. However, looking at the current thing, I don't really feel that the annual return can be exported. Maybe in the actual release, they do something. Okay. Second thing is your table 8A, which is basically your consolidation of 2A details. Your table 8A cannot be imported as, the only options that it is giving is GSTR1, GSTR2A, GSTR2B. It is not yet giving the option of that table 8A, which comes while we prepare our annual return. Okay. So coming back to GSTR1, the signed one, now we'll try to enter a transaction for the month of April. Let's see. Vouchers, this is a sales transaction. Sales. Okay. In this case, it is the sales. Okay. We change the date. We change the date to say, for example, 6th of August. Just a minute. Let's see if it does allow us to. Just give me a minute. Basically, what has happened is the server has sort of went into sleep mode, and hence we see a Tally Prime ED over here. Just give me a minute. Okay. We once again come back and the vouchers. Say, for example, we want to enter a voucher in the month of August. So 7, 8. This is not a payment voucher. This is a sales voucher. And we change the mode to item numbers. That is, for example, vendor. So it's GST. So it allowed me to enter a transaction in the month of August, wherein the return was already filed and signed. Okay. Now we again go back to the display reports and everything. Let's see. GSTR1, and we do the month of August. See, first things first, there is this uncertain transaction that has come up. Okay. Transaction cannot be added in this period as the return is signed. Such transactions cannot be uploaded. So basically, in case if your client sends you such details, you can at least see which transaction has been added later on. At least this facility Tally is trying to provide to us. See, if we dwell deep into GSTR1 functionalities of Tally Prime, any version, even 2.1 for that matter of fact, it is already it is showing already the status of the invoice, whether it is exported or not. In case of GSTR1, you can obviously try it at your office. So that functionality always exists. But however, the signing and everything is something that, adds a sort of layer of security or maybe a layer of control, if I am so to say. And at least we can get a detail wherein some transaction has been added after the return was exported from Tally Prime. Okay. This was one more thing that I wanted to show. Just there seems to be something. When reconciliation has been done, why do we need to do reconciliation again with GSTR 2A? Predominantly, this 2A to B reconciliation, reconciliation between 2A to B, not the purchases one. Usually it is done when we file annual returns. If you focus on monthly or your quarterly, that is the periodic returns, usually in general practice, reconciliation with 2B suffices the work. Even when even if we unsign this return, this new entry remains in the open entries. Yes, I agree. But then the thing is that, since some feature has come up, which is the signing of this thing, returns, it is imperative for me to show, because we don't know that in the actual release, what additional functionality will they get in with this signing of returns. Okay. We take the concept ahead. Now, what we'll do is, just we'll go to the voucher type, that is the sales. I just want to show you one more thing over here. Alter voucher type. We have got the sales voucher. See, this is also something that has come up new. Method of voucher numbering, automatic. I always recommend to keep it at automatic or automatic with a manual override. What happens is, if the client has been given this option, or the accountants have been given this option, the invoice numbers can go haywire, and then reconciling everything becomes a task. Okay, even with Tally Prime Release 3.0, even with any other private software, so to say. Okay. Method numbering behavior on insertion or deletion, retain original voucher number. Now, what does it mean by that? If you realize, it was showing, since this was automatic, it was showing us the latest invoice number when we, issued that, created that voucher or issued that invoice, in other words. Yet it allowed us to go not in the month of October, but in the month of August. Okay, so basically, if if we open up the sales register for a minute, and we do the month of August, see, understand, 127, 120, 171. And 128. So it allowed us to enter invoice in the middle of a series which was continuing. Okay. Where were we? We were at alter voucher type sales. Right. Set alter additional numbering details. Obviously, that is basically your prefix and suffix, how we sort of number our invoices. Okay. Show unused voucher numbers in the transactions for retaining original voucher number behavior. Over here, it's a yes. Even if it is a yes or a no, we are yet to see. I mean, while I was testing, I couldn't really find a practical use of this thing. In case if somebody has tried and somebody has found out, they can very well put up in the chat box. Yeah. Okay, but there is one thing which I would like to mention over here. Method of numbering automatic. This is something which is available even in Tally Prime other releases and even in Tally ERP as well. If something new that has come up over here is that how do we configure an existing company into Tally Prime Release 3.0? We'll obviously come to the migration from earlier release to this release in the later part of the session. However, since we are already over here, there is a function, we'll go to configure. There's a configuration function. Set method of voucher numbering. Yes. Define multiple numbering series for vouchers. When we do a yes over here, and when we take it ahead, say, for example, when we are trying to merge two companies, what has happened is till all this time, there were two companies that were maintained. In case of a company which has got its registration in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, in Rajasthan, for example, three different Tally companies were created and they were needed to be maintained. Now, since they're trying to merge this thing, they're trying to give a feature wherein you can merge this thing into one Tally. They have given such sort of, configuration wherein we can do. So if we do a yes over here, I'm not doing it. If we do a yes over here, so then, the option of that automatic manual goes and then this thing comes up. Do you want to define multiple numbering series for vouchers? We'll see it in the later part of the session. Right now, we'll go back to our original configuration. Yes. No. Okay. And we go back to the way things were. Okay. This was another thing that I wanted to. Okay. Now, there are certain other features as well, which Tally Prime Release 3 is trying to provide, in case of GST registrations. Okay, let's see what it is. Okay. You remember the last transaction that we created the ledger was well done. So now what is the story of this well done? Let's come to it. Okay, alter. Since the ledger of well done is already created, we'll go to alter well done. Now this well done, this is a composition dealer. Okay. But what if, in the earlier times, it was a regular dealer. What if that is what the case is? So what happens is, we go to more details, show more, GST registration details history. In the beginning of the session, wherein I was showing you the reconciliation configuration, whether we are to ignore the special characters, whether we are to ignore the zeros, even over there was a history. Even over here, there is a history, GST registration details history. So basically from 1st of July 2017 till 1st of May 2023, that is the 30th of April 2023, Weldon was a regular registered person, and then from 1st of May 2023, it has gone from regular registration to a composite registration. Okay. This is a new feature that has come in Tally Prime release 3.0. In the earlier releases, this didn't exist. This is very good actually. What used to happen was in the earlier times, if by mistakenly, if we are to change the registration type of some particular dealer, it used to affect the earlier entries as well. If the configurations are not being made proper, the ledger has not properly been created, ledger master not properly been created, this used to be an issue. But now they've tried to address this issue by creating this history sheet of the GST registration details of any particular ledger. We will test this registration type. Okay. By the way, this micro small MSME number, this is a part of my customization that I had created. As I had said in the beginning of the session, I wanted to create something which would help me the 3CD filling. Okay. So we, remember, the Weldon is a composite person from the 1st of May 2023. So if we are to pass a ledger, if we are to pass an entry, say for example, in the month of April, it should ideally show us that the registration type is regular. Let's see. Okay. Firstly, we just change the year period. That was April 2020. Once I sales, just give me a minute. Sales, yes. Party account name is Weldon. Sales value. Say for example, dance value. Okay. Now let's go back to this thing and let's see. See over here, what it is showing, the GST registration type to be regular, because the date of which, the date on which this invoice is being recorded or this voucher is being created is the 1st of April. Okay. So on the 1st of April, Weldon was a regular person and not a composite person. Okay. We'll just save this voucher. Now let's take the date to be 2nd of May. Okay. Party again, Weldon. See, it is showing as composition. Why? Because from the 1st of May, Weldon is not a regular person. It is a composition taxable person. Since this is a sale transaction, obviously, the applicability of CGST, SGST doesn't change. That still remains the same. However, if it was a purchase transaction, then obviously, this would have been an issue, considering that after the 1st of May, Weldon as such cannot levy GST on its invoice. And since it cannot levy GST on its invoice, we also, ideally speaking, should not be able to record GST, while we are entering the purchase transaction. Let's see what happens if we do. And this is GST type purchase. 2nd of May. They can just pay it away. Okay, 2nd of May. Say 2nd May, party account. Let's see if it is going. No. So this is good. That it is not automatically calculating the CGST. If you remember the sales transaction, it was automatically calculating the CGST, SGST. In case of purchases, it is not automatically calculating. Why? Because well done is a composite person from the 1st of May. Let's see if we are to record this transaction on the 1st of April, what happens? Or the 2nd of April, as the case may be. And date 2nd of April. See, it is already showing the regular purchase GST. GST. See, now over here it is automatically calculating. Why? Because in the month of April, Weldon was a regular person and not a composite taxable person. So this is again another new feature that has come up in Tally Prime Release 3.0. Okay. Some other thing that has come up in Tally Prime Release 3.0, which is not really visible, but I'll just try and show you. Yeah. So in your GSTR1, okay, in case if some GSTIN is invalid or there are some or the other issues, then it will show over here that uncertain transactions corrections needed in case if some GSTIN is not valid or not. Same ways, if the GST registration of the company itself is valid or not, even then it will show that the GST registration of the company is not valid, or there's some correction which is needed. This is another validation feature that has come up in Tally Prime Release 3.0. Okay, there seems to be a question. Let's see. How do we record a sale transaction with multiple GST rate in a single invoice? Basically, in such a case, what you have to do is you have to define the rate of GST in the inventory item itself. So one inventory item can be, say, of example, 5%. The other inventory can be, say, of example, 18%. Over there, if you configure it, then the CGST, SGST, and IGST get automatically calculated. Okay. We take it ahead. Achha, just in case, okay, there's one more question and then I'll go take it ahead. What are the risks of migrating into Tally Prime 3.0? Migration I'll cover in some time. Say, for example, maybe 10 to 15 minutes I'll cover. Can the GST return data be pushed from Tally to GSTIN through API? We'll have to see in the actual release whether the API part has been covered or not. As of now, no. But the same is not getting calculated, and Tally personnel have said that it will come in the new release. Okay, fine, fair enough. Okay. Now we just take up one short thing, before going ahead, and that is the UPI QR code. So basically in company, once again, features. Okay. Features, we enable the payment request and the QR code link to yes. And when we click on yes, what happens is it shows the UPI path, as in, what is your this thing, for example, XYZ@OK access or something like that. What is the UPI ID? Since this lecture is going to get recorded, I cannot really show that this thing, the UPI ID and everything. However, once all that stuff is mentioned, once this is yes, once yes, and you press on enter, then it shows all those, asks all those details, what is the UPI ID and everything. Once all of that is done, you can do a Control A and come back. After coming back, okay, we go to exchange. Generate payment QR code link. Okay, others. So over here, what happens is, in case if we want to generate a direct QR code link for somebody, say for example, maybe Weldon, and I want Weldon to pay me 3465. That's basically its outstanding balance from whatever invoices and everything we mentioned. So if you want to do that, we can very well generate a QR code and this thing. So what is the benefit of that QR code? I'll come to it. Okay. And let's say, for example, in case of Let's say, for example, in case of DS Enterprises or well done, it can be anything. So Alt P, this is the print, and we do a preview. Let me just configure it first. Printer. And we do a preview. So over here, the QR code, the UPI QR code becomes applicable. So this is also an interesting feature, which is now a part of the Tally Prime release 3.0, that the UPI QR code containing the payment. So this QR code will have this payment only, this whatever the amount is, this payment feature, that amount will be embedded, and it will request the party to pay exactly that amount. This feature is applicable even for ledgers and everything. But just I wanted to show that how does it work in case of invoices. Okay, we'll take up a question and then we take it ahead. In case of entries involving multi GST rate, how do we get columnar register rate wise? It is very difficult. You'll have to try it from GSTR1 if there is some way possible, or else in case of sales, it is very difficult. Please explain entry with multiple GST rate if we do not follow inventory method. If you do not follow inventory method, there's practically no ways, multiple GST can be enabled. And even if there is some other way, it will become, it will catch that uncertainty when we are to go into GSTR1 and everything. Yes. Okay, now, enough of the reports. Now let's see what happens if we want to create a new company and enable the multi-GST feature. We go to company, we create a new company. Okay. Say, for example, it is test. And we just say accept, yes. Okay, now, we want to enable the GST part of things. So rest all configurations will keep the same, whatever they are. We'll go to enable goods and service tax. Yes. First state would be Maharashtra. If the state is changed over here, then your transactions and everything will be impacted, because obviously, yes. GSTIN, UIN, I've got some sample GSTIN, UINs over here. I'll just mention them. This is, by the way, the GSTIN of Indian Railways, Maharashtra. Ignore special characters. If you remember this, we had got it from the configurations over here. And then create another registration, another GST registration for the company. Yes. Yes. So now another GST registration, say for example, the state is Gujarat. We have got another GST registration over here, the registration number over here. And yes. So by this, what we have done is we have basically created two GST registrations in one company. So now, this can be a bit tricky. I would recommend everybody to just focus over here. Whatever questions you have, you keep it with yourself. And at the end of it, I'll take up everything. Just focus on the, the chart of accounts. Okay. We click on escape. Now what we do is we create, new voucher types. So basically what we'll do is, say for example, if you are selling something. So now there would be two sales voucher types. One would be for the state of Maharashtra, and other would be for the state of Gujarat. Then obviously, depending on the type of business, you can create multiple other voucher types. As of now, for demonstration purposes, we'll just create two voucher types. Sales MH, the sales. A method of numbering, automatic, retain original number, set alter additional numbering details, yes. 3, 0, yes. Since this is Maharashtra, so we'll keep an MH. And just put on see now what error that we did is that we did not define that sales Maharashtra is meant, sales MH is meant for Maharashtra. Okay. So now we come to this statutory details. Okay. This is the Maharashtra registration. Use common voucher numbering series for all GST registrations. I would recommend no. That we create no. What does no mean? Is that we have a different series at least for every different registration type. Now we'll create another voucher type, that is Sales Gujarat. Which is the sales voucher. Method of numbering automatic. Obviously, this is Gujarat, hence GJ. Gujarat registration. Okay, so what we have done is we have basically created two voucher types. Okay, one for the sale of Gujarat and other one is in Maharashtra. Okay, now, in case of this test 2, okay, I'll do one thing. Basically, before this session, I had created a company with the name of test 1, which was on the same lines, not even similar. It was on the same lines. So I'll just, take you there. Specified path. So in case of test 1, what we see, we'll see the chart of accounts. Firstly, voucher types. So basically, sales GJ, sales MH, the way we created right now, the same way it has been created over here. If you see, it's the same configuration that we just did right now. It's the same configuration over here. Set, alter, additional numbering details. If you do a yes, see, it's MH and a slash, and then, suffix it by 23 and 24. It's the same configuration. Sales MH, then we did the same configuration for sales GJ. This is the Gujarat registration. And the way we did for sales, we'll do it for purchases as well. Purchase MH, which is the purchases which are done in Maharashtra, and purchase GJ, which are the purchases which are done in Gujarat. Okay, what is this? This is your voucher type. Okay. Now let's go to ledgers. What ledgers have we created? Okay. Sundry debtors. So basically, we have created a sundry debtor with the name of test 1 GJ. Now, what is this test 1 GJ? Basically speaking, this is that sundry debtor, which is the Gujarat registration. So in other words, this is the branch transfer sundry debtor. So whenever any goods are being sold, say for example, from Maharashtra to Gujarat, in that case, it would be, what would the entry be? A debtor account debit to sales, that is test 1 Gujarat account debit to the sales account. Okay. Test 1 Maharashtra, again, say what if some products are being sold from Gujarat to Maharashtra. In such a case, the entry would be, debtor account debit, that is test 1 Maharashtra account debit to the sales account. Duties and taxes, we have just created one IGST ledger, no logic or no rocket science logic over here. IGST, duties and taxes, GST, tax type IGST. Obviously, we are not defining any calculation over here because, as I explained, we will be defining the calculation in the inventory and in the HSN inventory itself. That's it. No other ledgers we have created. We have just created a purchase MH ledger for voucher type MH. For voucher type MH, it is always recommended to have a purchase MH. A voucher type MH and a purchase MH. In case if you don't want, if you want to keep the purchase ledger same for Maharashtra, Gujarat, and all other registrations, you very well can. Personally, I am of the view that it is always better to keep the voucher types as well as the purchase ledgers separate for each registration. Service sales GJ. Just a minute. Service sales GJ. Since this is a service sale, obviously there is no inventory as such which is to be affected, and in such a case, we have specified the details, that is the rate details, which is the 18% over here. In case of services, always, the rate needs to be specified in the ledger itself. In case of goods, always, it is recommended that always it be specified when the inventory item is being created. Now, how to create an inventory item? If somebody is to ask, obviously stock item, over here, say for example, XYZ, primary under units not applicable because we have not created any unit yet. Okay, specify details over here. HSN say 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever description. So specify details over here, taxable, and we rate as 18%. This is how, ideally speaking, rate in case of inventory. So for all those people who were asking me how to define multiple GST in case there are multiple inventory items, this is how you should be defining. The CGST, SGST, and IGST ledgers configuration, I have already shown the IGST ledger. You can refer it in the video whenever this gets uploaded on YouTube. And in case of inventory, ideally speaking, this is how it should be defined. Now, what we did was we entered a sales transaction, DAS. So what sales transaction did we enter? One sales transaction, basically service sales. Now, how does it look? Understand, understand this screen, what is happening over here. Basically, since we selected this voucher type to be sales GJ, Tally understood that the GST registration is the Gujarat registration. So now when we are entering this voucher or creating this voucher, we are taking the perspective from Gujarat registration. So from the perspective of Gujarat, what has happened is there has been some sale, some service sale to Maharashtra. So obviously, since there is a difference of states, the IGST is applicable, and in such a case, a service sales, and then we charge IGST. Okay, fine. The reason why it is showing this is because, from the gateway of Tally, I'll have to change the period to 23, 24. Nevertheless, the concept still remains the same, that that the Gujarat branch has sold some services to the Maharashtra branch. So now, since the Gujarat branch has sold some services to the Maharashtra branch, from Maharashtra branch's perspective, this is a purchase, right? So along with the sales, we need to record a purchase transaction as well. Wait a second. So along with the sales, we need to record a purchase transaction as well. So we record a purchase transaction. So now when we select, purchase and then voucher type purchase, and then we select the voucher type to be purchase MH, obviously. And then it is purchase MH, supplier invoice number is GJ1, 2324. And what we have purchased? We have done some service purchase. Obviously, we can rename it as service purchase MH also, not a big deal. And what was the GST component on it? That is the IGST component on it at 18%. That is because we, while entering, there has been some mismatch that has happened. Just give me a minute. Except there would be some of the other configuration issues, but nevertheless. Now, again, one question might come up, that what if we are to see the P&L? Because understand, ultimately, it's just it is sort of a branch transfer that has happened from one branch to another. So ideally speaking, it should not hit it should not be visible in the P&L. It should not hit the P&L. However, what will happen is it will show on both sides, on the sales as well as on the purchase side. Even if we do it with inventory, it is the same thing. It will show on the sales as well as on the purchase side. So this, many people, in case if you people would have dealt with the consolidation, that is creation of group company, and then there would be multiple subsidiary companies. Even in that case, this was an issue. And even over here, this is an issue. Hopefully, they'll come up with something wherein in case of branch transfers, we can define and something can be done so that the inter-branch, this thing can be eliminated from the profit and loss account. In fact, if we click on go to, let me just give you a brief run through of the go to as well. If we click on go to, although it says common report, yet even in the common report, if we click on P&L account, it still shows the purchase as well as the sales. This is an issue, but can't really help. Now coming to the last part. Before the last part, just one thing. In case of airlines, air tickets purchase multiple GST, vendor is involved. How to record such inward supply? See, when multiple GST INs are involved, obviously there would be multiple sundry creditors, sundry debtors which need to be created. Okay. Fine. Now, the last thing, somebody had asked about the migration part. That is what we'll see now, the migration part. So basically, before the migration part, let me show you something, the PPT that we had made. And, just to give you a brief run through that, whether we have covered everything or not. Just a minute. Okay, features, reconciliations we covered. Okay, we covered the voucher numbering. We covered better GST data collection validation. I showed you the regular as well as the composition. How does that thing work? Okay, multiple GST INs can be managed in one company. We just now covered that part. Advanced filters in reports. This is something that has come up new. Okay, I'll just show after the end of this PPT. Okay, advanced filters in reports is basically in earlier versions, Tally used to give us that range filters, voucher, having XYZ with name ABC and all of that stuff. Tally has quite a lot improved in those filters. Okay, and one last thing, UPI, payment gateway, that is something that we saw. Okay. Yes. And then we again come back to that. And there's a question and we take it later. How to have separate P&L trial balance to be attached for each state. As of now, I couldn't really find that thing. In case if, we can get state-wise P&L balance sheet, hopefully this should be a feature in the pipeline. Changing group of inter-branch purchase account, reducing it from sales. Yes, you can very well try this thing. If it works, great. As of now, we are looking at it from the GST standpoint. Yes. So now the migration part of it. Okay, just a minute. So basically, I had tried to migrate, two companies which were being maintained in Tally ERP as well as in Tally Prime, the earlier releases. However, I encountered certain issues. So let me just come to those issues first. Yes. So current slide, probable errors in migration. So basically, if you see over here, what issues did I encounter? Firstly, it was not recognizing the currency symbol of Indian currency, which is the rupee. And for some really weird reason, it was showing a straight line ahead of the rupee symbol. This we could, try to mitigate by basically adding a line. If you look at your enter key and the key above enter key, the key above your enter key, there is this straight line which is there. I don't know what it is called in English language. Nevertheless, by that thing and then adding the rupee symbol, we could overcome that issue. Okay. Then came another issue. Currency INR already exists. This was an issue which we could not overcome. Even after having a word with the Tally people, we could not overcome. And duplicate original name. This was again something that we could not overcome the issue. So yes, if somebody who had asked like, is the migration coming in perfectly without any issues? The answer is no. There are issues in migration, and personally, in certain cases, it might work. In certain cases, it might not. But how to make it work in your particular case, that is something that we will see right now. Okay, in case you're wondering how to actually migrate, so what you have to do is, just as the way we created this test1, test2 company, okay, we need to create this test1, test2 companies or whatever, the consolidated company. How did we create a company over here? If you remember, create company, and then we entered all those details, and after entering all those details, basically we went to the GST, this thing, just a minute. After entering all those details, what we went to? We went to the GST, this thing, enable goods and service tax, yes. And then we added one GST number, then we did a yes over here. And from that yes, we added another GST number. So we basically added two GST numbers. Okay. Now, in case if you want to migrate, what do you have to do? Say, for example, these are the companies that need to be migrated. Since I had tried in these companies only, let's see. Okay, this was the thing that I had tried to migrate, but it couldn't be migrated. But we'll just open it over here. So this is the company that is the consolidated sort of company, and the other companies, one is the Gujarat and the other one is the Maharashtra. Other company. Okay. So these are the two companies, and which, when we combine becomes this Gujarat plus Maharashtra company. So what are the recommendations from which you can actually, sort of migrate the data with ease? So the first recommendation which I have is that if you remember in the test one company, we had created these voucher types, sales GJ and sales MH. Okay, in case of these companies, what I would recommend is that, in case if there are such voucher types, say for example, the sales voucher types, we better rename the sales voucher type from sales to sales GJ or something like that, so that while we are importing, things become much more easier. Okay. Same goes for purchases, same goes for all other voucher types, which can be same in both the cases. Okay. However, personally speaking, sales and purchase in these two cases, if we do, it should be more than enough. Yet it doesn't guarantee that it would be migrated smoothly. This is one thing. Then the next suggestion which I have is that, in case of the voucher types, if you remember, I had shown this thing earlier. Over here, method of numbering the vouchers, we configure and we define multiple numbering series. Yes, this is what I had said you some time ago, that in case if you want to consolidate, or rather, two companies merge into one company, this is what you need to do. So now what we do is define multiple numbering series. Yes. Then what we do is we make the series name to be GUJ. Over here, it comes default or system defined. What we do is we do a GUJ. Why? Because this is the Gujarat registration. And in case of, the invoice numbers, we want to retain the invoice numbers. We don't want to change the invoice numbers. We just want to add a prefix Gujarat. Why? So that while we are importing, at least this error doesn't come up. Okay, set alter additional numbering details. No, obviously, because, for a simple reason, we just want to migrate and consolidate. Okay. Same goes for the case of Maharashtra as well. If I open up the Maharashtra account, again, alter voucher type, sales. Yes, same ways, multiple defining, yes. And see, over here, it is showing default. If you remember, that is what I was saying, that if you don't, define it well, so it will show it as a default. Let's say this needs to be MH. Method of numbering, it should be automatic. Yes, continue. Retain, no. Okay. Numbering series is none of our thing. We have already done this. Yes, see, now this is coming as MH. Okay, retain. Okay, that's okay. We do a yes or no. That's okay. So now there is a possibility that, the voucher type sales may be, the voucher numbers in the voucher type sales may be affected. Yet, it does not guarantee that the transactions will be migrated well. I'll just show you how to migrate the transactions. Okay, you can try it in your own companies. Just a minute. Okay, meanwhile, we'll take up a question. Sir, can you please briefly explain multiple GST in a single tally? If time permits, I will explain, or else this video would be available on YouTube. Kindly refer that video. You'll be, understanding things in detail, because in that video, you can view that video in your own desired speed. Meanwhile, we'll just, continue with our PPT. So, questions for the official release. Basically speaking, as you must have understood that things are half-baked, because obviously this is a pre-release and not the actual released version. So things would be half-baked. Not necessary that every report you would be getting would be perfect the way you expect it from Tally to be. However, the entire purpose of this thing is that the viewer, the participant understands that these features are lined up in Tally so that they can, plan their advice to clients or whatever it is accordingly. Okay. So what, to summarize the session as well, these would be the questions for the official release. Auto or one-click reconciliations. If you remember when we were using that magic feature, even then it was not giving us the option to, since the amounts are the same, is there some way wherein just by one click we can make it all reconciled? Even after making it like some transactions reconcile, because understand in the test data, obviously there were few transactions, but in real life, the transactions would be in hundreds or maybe even thousands, who knows? So the thing is how to, even when the amounts are matching, how to set their statuses as reconciled. So that would be one question. The other question would be reconciliations carried forward in the next period. If you remember, while we were doing the August GSTR 2B, we saw that there was some transaction of July which was showing it in August, which is fair enough because it the supplier must have filed their returns late. So it didn't come up in the 2B of July, but it came in the 2B of August. Same goes for the month of September also. There would be transactions which would be carried forward in the next period or maybe in some other future period. So how do we reconcile that and how do we get a report of such reconciled transactions? That is something which is a question. Okay. Third thing would be annual return. What of annual return? So basically, if you, in the Tally, it was showing as annual computation and not annual return. And as I had explained you earlier, there was no possibility by which we can import that table 8A or that table 8A which is basically a consolidation of 2A data. That is another question. B2BA. Yes, there is no direct facility wherein, we can just mark a voucher as B2B amendment and somehow it comes up into B2BA. There is no facility. In fact, this should have been a feature considering that Tally has already tried to enable edit log. So anyways, there are details of the voucher being edited. So in case of sales, they should have done something from which a B2BA can be enabled, but they've not done anything as of now. That is what I feel. So, in my testing. Okay, just a minute. Tally GSP register for registration status of UIN. This is something somebody had asked a question. So basically, while we were seeing that well done's status from regular to composite and from composite to regular, there has to be some way wherein we can, just verify the status of multiple GST INs, whether they are regular, whether they are composite, whether they are suspended, whether they are active, whether they are cancelled. Tally in itself is a registered GST Suvidha provider, GSP. As of now, they have not come up with anything as such. For bulk. Hopefully, in the later period, maybe they can come up with something which from which we can verify all our GST INs in that particular company, the status of all the GST INs. Okay. Last thing, stabilization. If you realize all this while, constantly, even I have been saying that there are still certain issues, there are still this thing which needs to be resolved, there are still something that, Tally needs to take care of. So obviously, we hope that things would be stabilized in the times to come. We again come back, hopefully by now, all those things would have been sorted. Yes. So now how do we, actually consolidate this thing? See, I won't be exporting everything because obviously it takes lots of time. However, I'll just show you how it actually works. So basically, in case of all your branch companies, be it Gujarat, be it Maharashtra, what you have to do is export. First, you have to export the masters. Okay. And in case of masters, you have to export all masters. I'll repeat it once again, no worries. All masters, basically you have to export all masters and you have to include dependent masters as well. Once everything is done, you can export this thing using a simple, control A if we do, and then export. You click over here to it exports. Okay. Now we exported masters of one branch, and then we'll export the transactions of that branch. So in case of transactions, yes, it is all vouchers, include dependent masters. If you want to do a yes, you can. If you don't want, that is your choice. Period you need to select from up to what period do you want to export. Do you want to export it of this year only, that is from the 1st of April? Do you want to export it of earlier years or earlier periods as well? So then there would be another file which would be created as transactions. Okay, you can obviously rename this thing in case if you want to rename, say for example, transactions G. This is the Maharashtra file. Okay, then M, not XML. Even this way, you can rename the files. Okay. First, so what we did, we would be exporting the masters and the transactions of one branch, that is Maharashtra. Then we would be exporting the masters and transactions of another branch, that is Gujarat. Once again, configure. We don't want the ledgers. We want basically all masters, including dependent masters. Yes. XML, and then in case if you want to rename, you can very well rename this thing as well master G, because this has come from Gujarat. XML. Fair enough. Same ways, even for Gujarat, we will be exporting the transactions as well. All vouchers, again, you will define the period, whatever period you want, and then you can export. Once again, in case if you want to configure, you can click on configure, you can change the period from here, and you can change the file name as well. Now, 4 things have been exported. Understand. Let's go to the voucher. 4 things have been exported. Master, this is basically a master G. Master M, master of Gujarat, master of Maharashtra. Transactions of, we have not mentioned M over here. This is basically transactions of Maharashtra and transactions G, that is of Gujarat. So basically 2 masters since we had 2 branches, and 2 transactions since we had 2 branches. Okay. Now we come to the consolidated entry, and what we do is we click on import. We click on import, and what we do, first we import masters, as simple as that. If we are to specify path. For example, we specify path where the path is over here. Okay. First, what do we want to import? We import the master, which is basically the Gujarat master. Ignore duplicates. Yes, this is imported. Then what we import is, we import another master, which is the master M, the Maharashtra master. Ignore duplicates. Now this will kind of slowly import. Then what we do is we import the transactions. Say for example, this is the transactions, yes. We import the transactions, say for example of transactions Maharashtra. Okay. Now over here, this is unable to import. Press F1 help troubleshooting event log. F1 help troubleshooting and event log. Duplicate original name. If you remember, this is what I had shown you in the earlier times as well, that this is an error that is coming up. And we don't really have an answer. I had tried to contact to Tally people, even they didn't have an answer, at least as of now. Hopefully with the times to come, they will have. Okay. Now we try to import the other transactions, which is the Gujarat one. Let's see. Oops, again the same story. Troubleshooting, event log. Okay, over here it was the other INR issue, as I had explained, that these are certain issues that are coming up. You can try it with your companies. The process remains the same. In case if it works for some companies, great. In case if it doesn't work for some companies, no worries. You can always wait for the actual release to come, and then you can again try for whatever issues which will exist at that point of time. Usually, like in 99% of the cases, Tally is able to resolve those issues, and they have got a dedicated team to answer your queries. However, one thing which is always recommended is that you keep your TSS updated, or else they don't really answer the queries. Well, they always will keep on, saying you that please update your TSS before asking any query. With this, in case if you have any questions, you let me know. Can we use it for reconciliation feature given the risk in migration? I would personally recommend this thing, and that is the reason why I began, with the reconciliation feature. The thing is that Tally is actually promoting it as a multi-GST thing. However, in case of migration, there are more issues, and hence For the reconciliation side of it, it is actually pretty good, provided they give those features of deleting the GSTR to be if it is accidentally imported of any wrong period and stuff like that. Okay, once imported into Tally, JSON file after half reconciliation can be saved. Once imported into Tally, it is already saved. That is the reason why we were saying whether some transaction can be deleted or not, whether the JSON file can be deleted or new can be imported. That is something which we'll have to see in the official release. Yes, we'll take up other questions. Yes, obviously it is better, that you begin it with the reconciliation feature, and if things are comfortable, take it for the, the multi-GST feature. For all those who are using Tally for TDS purposes, TDS reports generating from Tally, you'll know how difficult it is to actually match those new reference and against reference and, matching the threshold limits and everything. So even that is something that has not been stabilized yet after all these years. So we don't know how multi-GST would be stabilized in the times to come, hoping for the best. However, just one thing to add on, that is the reason why I showed how to create such a company wherein you can merge, you can have two GSTIN. So even if migration is an issue, at least from whenever the official release is out, at least from that date, you can maintain it in one Tally if you want to. Because creation of new ledgers and new voucher types is a much easier task compared to migrating the existing data.
Do you have any more questions?
I guess.
No, yes, I think
Yes,
no.
yes, yes.
Okay, great.
Most welcome.
Okay, I think thank you, Henik Bhai, for such a wonderful session. I would like to express our appreciation to our speaker Henik Bhai. It was such a practical session wherein our speaker covered everything about beta 3.0 version, starting from the type of versions such as pre-alpha, alpha, beta, and the how to download it, how to install it, what are the reconciliations, what are the method of voucher numbering, etc. So I would say today's webinar has, truly enriched our understanding of the subject matter. Secondly, I would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to WIRC for organizing such a wonderful webinars on the tech series. I would also like to thank Ketan Sayya sir and Shweta ma'am for organizing this tech ed series, and Rudesh Pankania sir for the speaker introduction. And lastly, I would like to express our gratitude to all the participants who have taken the time out of their busy schedule to be a part of this webinar. Your engagement and participation have made this event very impactful and insightful. Thank you so much for all your participation.
Thank you, Mohit.
Thank you,
Ketan.
Mohit. Thank
Yes,
you, Mohit and Henik. Once again, thanks a lot. And as rightly told by chairman, if any of the viewer want to, come forward for any, we have in fact circulated something called My Role at WIRC, wherein we are, trying and inviting people to become, writer, coordinator, speaker. So, guys, do come forward and share, your knowledge with the other people, and believe by sharing knowledge, the kind of, experience and enrichment which you will feel will be amazing. So do come forward. We are very open, and we believe that 21 member in council cannot run council of 1 lakh people and 3 lakh plus students. And that's the ideology. And we are trying and bringing, newer faces to WIRC, and that endeavor will continue. So please come forward for any of the event, any of the book publication, any of the research. We have specifically allocated some fund this year in WIRC for carrying out a research based publications. We are coming out with some publication. We are already under discussion. So if you have any newer idea to bring up some, publication which is research based publication, be it any area. For example, today we met, RERA Commissioner, Mr. Ajoy Mehta, and instantly he said that, let's come out with some handbook on RERA for Form 3, Form 5, and we have immediately started implementing that and started working upon it today itself. So these type of, developments are happening. And believe me, this year our target is to bring out minimum such research-based 12 publication by the year ends. We are already working on 3-4 of them. So please come forward. Let's have, eventful year, and let's, do something good for the student, for the chartered accountant members in across Western region, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa. Once again, let me thank Mohit and Henik for, sparing their time, valuable time. Of course, due to some meeting, I haven't attended the last leg of maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, but definitely I'll go through the video. Thank you so much, Henik. Looking forward for some more such support from your side. I'm
Anytime.
sure you will be always available for
Yes,
at least me personally and for
yes, yes.
WIRC.
Anytime, anytime. Okay.
Thank you.
so
Thank you
much,
so
Ketan
much.
sir. Yes, sir.
And
Thank you, Henik bhai, once again. Thank you, Ketan sir.
thank you, Mohit bhai.
Thank you, WRC team.
And someday I'll come to Andheri and meet you.
Definitely, sure, sure.